Dobrý den, welcome. Já budu mluvit napůl česky, napůl anglicky. I would like to welcome you here all at this amazing event with a very special guest today, Dr. Oetkera. Before we start, I would like to free the floor for the head of Banking Institute, Martina Mala, to give an opening speech, please. Myslím, zkusíme.
Dámy a pánové, dobrý den. Je to zapnutý? Jo. Dovolte mi, abych vás přivítala jménem Bankovního institutu Vysoké školy. Možná vás napadne, co má společného naše vysoká škola s doktorem Oetkerem. Je to jednoduché. I když asi možná málo kdo to ví, my jsme na tohleto přišli, když jsme našim novým kolegům vysvětlovali, že spolumajitelem naší vysoké školy je právě doktor Oetker. Je to ten pan doktor Oetker, který tady stojí za značkou Sunar, na které jsme vyrostli celé generace. I jehož marmelády si mažeme každé ráno na chleba. Mimo to, že je úspěšný podnikatel, tak je zároveň předseda dozorčí rady akciové společnosti Kognos, jejíž součástí právě Bankovní institut Vysoká škola. My jsme si potom v návaznosti na to řekli, že by bylo dobré pozvat pana doktora Oetkera do Prahy, aby se s námi podělil o svoje názory v oblasti vzdělávání, což je oblast, které on věnuje velkou část své práce. A já jsem velice ráda, že pan doktor Oetker naše pozvání přijal a že může dnes provést i osvětu, jak výtečné a skvělé zázemí mezinárodní má naše vysoká škola. Děkuji.
Milé dámy, vážení pánové, dovolte, abych i já vás přivítal jménem mediálního domu Ekonomia na dnešním HN Fóru. Chtěl bych také přivítat naše diváky u nás na internetu na webu ihned.cz, kteří dnes sledují živý přenos. Jsme nesmírně rádi a vážíme si toho, že pan doktor Oetker je dnes tady a zúčastní se našeho fóra. Hlavními tématy budou samozřejmě jeho příběh úspěšného manažera, vzdělávání, předávání zkušeností mezi generacemi. Hodně zajímavá diskuze, nebudu proto zdržovat. Sehr geehrter Herr Dr. Oetker, es freut uns sehr, dass Sie heute hier mit uns sind. Wir freuen uns auf eine interessante Diskussion, Ihre Erfahrungen aus den Bereichen Management und Bildung und freuen uns auf Tipps, wie man Generationswechsel in einem großen Unternehmen erfolgreich realisieren kann.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, hello again. My name is Nikita Polyakov, and I would also like to welcome you here in this beautiful gallery of Louvre Cafe at the next forum Hospodářských novin, which is organized in partnership with the Banking Institute. Before we start, I would like to thank our partners who make this event possible, which are VIP Group, Chess Group, and the Czech Confederation of Industry. You might know it, you might not know it, but we are sitting in a very nice place. This place was visited quite frequently by very prominent people, Franz Kafka, Karel Čapek, Albert Einstein, just to mention a few. So I think we are in a good company today. Before I introduce Mr. Oetker, when I was a boy, I was buying pastry, Dr. Oetker, you know. I thought it's fake. I thought you don't exist. I thought it's just a brand. I was buying it, and so you know, it's like. But so I'm glad that I can welcome you here in the flesh today. Dr. Oetker is a significant German industrialist. He's a member of a well-known Oetker family, and he's the head of Hero Group, which unites such brands as Sunar or Corny, a few brands that you might know from the plethora of other brands that Hero incorporates. Today's topic is education, the road to success. We don't actually have to be here to know how important education is in our lives and our future, and not only investment in our potential business, but also working, social, or just human sphere. American philosopher Alan Bloom said it quite precisely, that education is the movement from darkness to light, so I hope we will be able to shed some light on education today. But it's not only education and knowledge that drives our societies further. It is the value of family. It is the rootedness of generation who can transpose acquired knowledge to their children, and their children being able to utilize it in today's society, which transforms faster than we might expect sometimes. So these will be the topics of our discussion today. Before we start, I would like to ask you to feel free to come up with some questions. In the second part of the panel, there will be a lot of space for the discussion. And I would also like to encourage people on the internet to post some questions. We will see them today here on this screen. So feel free to ask. There will be some time to answer them. So let's start off with a question that I think is a topic for many businessmen today. 25 years after the collapse of communism, a new generation of businessmen grew up, and they got old, and they want to pass on their companies to their children. But it's not as easy as it seems today. You've got 5 children. They all work within the business. How hard was to decide who will do which job, how to lead them?
Basically, it's a matter of self-determination. So I asked my children not what they should do. They decided themselves what they would do, and in what company they would work, and how much time, and then in what company finally they would involve themselves more specifically. Mm-hmm. So there is not yet, I don't guide them, just together with my wife, I like to expose them to the self-determination, not, by the father.
Mm-hmm.
You are lucky. Do that.
You are a lucky man. Yes. All your children wanted to work within your business. There are a lot of families that are not so lucky. Their children want to leave, do something else.
Two of them are a little smaller. So from my present marriage, I have 5 children from 2 marriages, and that's also not as easy, but they decided jointly and unanimously what they should do. And of course, the younger ones are still studying, and the one is just finalizing her bachelor, and some students are here as well, and I think that experience, they have to decide to have their studies and then making a decision afterwards what they should really do. So the other son is in New York right now at the NYU, the New York University, and is studying economics. The older girl is studying nutrition, and so that's very basically for me. And she always tells me what I should eat and what not to get fat or not. Yes, and so I am advised by her. Yes, and then the elder ones are already working in Cognos. My daughter Johanna is will next year be on the board. I will step down and possibly will be honorary chairman or something like that. And my elder son is already on the board of Hero, and my eldest daughter will be in the KWS, in the seed industry, where I have a major part, the Monsanto Bayer, this kind of business. And yes, but she will be on the board at the end of this year, and I step down again, being honorary chairman or honorary member of the board.
Do you still know what's going on in the company on a day-to-day basis?
Day-to-day, I wouldn't say that, but in the long-term strategic decisions, I still take part.
Family business is family know-how. It is also family responsibility. Yes. How do you teach your children the responsibility they should bear as a next generation leading the company?
I think they should look for a long-term vision, not a short-term vision. And second, I would like that they have to have a role within the society here where they live and work. It's very, and be in common value thinking with the society, not against the society. That can't be possible. So this spirit I like to educate.
How many people, how many employees do you have?
About 10,000, I didn't count them.
What is entrepreneurial responsibility in respect to employees, the environment, the people you work with, that go beyond your family?
I mean, you are responsible for every employee, from the doorman to the manager. Yes, and you have to respect them all. And that I'd like to spell. I pass this message to my children, because everyone is worth to be respected, and that's what a basic understanding I have. So that's very important for me.
We said that education is quite important in life. Is it really though? Today's world offers many opportunities. Many people start off their businesses without finishing high schools. What is your opinion on it? Should we study, or should we maybe pursue what we want to do best?
No, but I think practice is very important as well. You shouldn't start studying immediately after you finish school. You should have what we call an apprenticeship before, or at least a year to be in any business, and then start to study, because you will be much more realistic in your judgment in studying what you study at all, and how you study, if you have that practical experience.
Do universities prepare graduates for the real life, or is it a world within itself that kind of operates within their own mechanisms?
So knowledge is important, important are also universities, but I wouldn't say that is the basic value has to come from the parents and the basic education. From the child on to the 20th birthday is much more important. Usually in interviews I ask much more on the first 20 years. What did they do? What did they decide? What they wanted to do? And was there a disruption in it? Yes or no? And how do they overcome this disruption? It's much more important. Before, when you are 20 years, you are very much already formed, yes, and you don't change so much afterwards. So the earliest year are the most important ones. From before the school, yes, and then the school and the high school. So I think it's very, very important. But also, of course, the parents' behavior.
You are a supporter, your company operates a banking institute, so you focus on education, on higher education. But can, in today's fast-paced world, university prepare you for the profession you want to pursue? There are many professions appearing now that I can't even think of. Or is it just a background that you get, and we shouldn't put so much emphasis on the concrete?
I think maybe you should put it away. Okay. I think much more important is the digital world we are living in. That didn't exist 20 years ago. So that's a change. And the internationalization also is a stream. You have to know languages. You didn't have that before as much besides English. Unfortunately, I don't speak any French and any Spanish, for example, but one of my sons learns Japanese and he speaks fluently Spanish, and it's much more important to speak in other languages. Intercultural interchange between cultures in these days much more important than it has been when I was a young boy.
Are there any challenges that your companies face when hiring new people, that you can see that the system is not perfect in some ways, that you lack something in the young people that universities or higher education don't prepare for? When you meet them, talk to them.
I don't know whether there are special barriers. It's a personal, yes, barriers maybe, but I don't see there any special barriers.
Do you see any differences in education within Europe? Your companies operate in many countries.
Oh yes, I mean the best education probably you can get in Scandinavian countries. They are very good in education systems, and I think they are one of the best, at least in Europe. But also I think I'm very much involved in the United States, so I'm very fond of the United States, and this practical kind of experience in the United States, I like it very much. So that's...
What do you like about it? What's special about the United States?
Especially about the United States is, for example, you have always a second chance. If you fail, it's a good experience, but then you have a second chance, and that's not so much maybe in Germany as well. So I think it's this kind of to cope with failures. I think that's great. Give everyone a second chance.
And German education?
Maybe not as much, unfortunately. Yeah, but it gets better.
Getting better.
Yeah. Wir schaffen das, yeah. Yeah.
We were talking about the perspective or prospects for students that are young. What are the actual needs of companies today when hiring young people? The only thing they should know is, I don't know, is their will, or what is the drive? What is the thing that is needed for your employee that you will hire him?
Passion and motivation and some knowledge, of course. But the passion and motivation is much more important. If you have, if you see that someone wills something, then you can give him his job, or you can employ him. So knowledge, but also passion and motivation.
How fast you can tell if the person has a passion and motivation to do the job?
You can smell it, you can hear it, you can, whether someone has passion or sitting back and just listening and being complacent.
Doing business in the Czech Republic and Germany, how far the conditions for doing business here differ from those in Germany, or let's say in other European unions that you operate in?
I mean, in the Czech Republic, you have mentioned already, I have another business called Hero, and they have the Corny Regals, you said it. And so I'm in the food business mainly, but also in the seed business, I told you already. And I mean, it's getting closer, but it's not the same. Because, even after 25 years, you have adapted to this kind of different mentality, Schweig mentality, yes, to cope, to consider one question and you know who Schweig was. And this kind of, the Czechs are not too enthusiastic and too, they're a little bit...
They're a little bit
shaky.
Shaky. And in terms of, let's say, on a national level, in terms of regulation, if you look top down, should the states regulate the business more, or you think that the free market itself will sort everything out?
Probably in the financial world you need more regulations, because we saw from the Lehman Brothers to now, even to now, to the Euro crisis, we see that some people from banks are maybe are willing not to cope with regulation as much as other businesses. In the food business, much different. But in the banking business, you need some regulations, but don't over-regulate, because then you kill an entrepreneurship.
Is today's level of regulation in Europe okay for you? Are you comfortable with it, or you think it's over?
Sometimes over-regulated, I think. Yes, I'm not talking about the banking industry, but in other businesses, if you know what's in there, the food business is over-regulated, I think.
We should.
And that's one of the symptoms why so many anti-Euro people are living around, especially in Germany and
in the Czech Republic.
In the Czech Republic, but in every European country, because they are afraid of too much bureaucracy from Brussels.
But on the other hand, they are justifying it with the argument that we should know what we are eating, right? I want to know what's in my corny in the morning. Isn't that a good deed? Isn't that like means serving ends kind of argument?
No, you have to have some regulations that so that you know what you eat. That's necessary. I don't want to delete that, but in other instances is something is too overregulated. So it should be there between regulation and freedom of choice.
In the recent months, there was this huge topic, Panama Papers, tax havens and European Union, European countries found out.
I was involved myself.
Are you in a paper?
I was in the paper because in Nicaragua I founded or co-founded with a small capital, an environmental business on trees, a trail on trees, yes, and therefore I was mentioned in these papers, because it was based somewhere. It was not based in Panama, but somewhere in a low-cost country, low tax-based country. So I had to respond to that. So again,
how did you respond?
Yes, I had to. If you are in a public paper like this, you have to defend yourself. And I had to defend myself first because I had just only 1% of this, and I was not in any board or supervisory board or managing aspect involved. I just invested in that. And that's what I did. I had to do it. Okay.
Are tax havens justifiable for you?
Tax havens are usually not good. Not good.
I sense some contradiction.
Yes. Yeah. Tax havens, you should not invest for taxes or not paying taxes. There should be some taxes. Otherwise, the state is not able to give them their people some food, some police, some safety. So there has to be taxes.
How long have you been doing business for?
More than 50 years.
That's quite a long time. We can agree on that. To what extent did the conditions for doing business in earlier days differ from what we can see today in the business world?
I think the difference is there are much more, as I said, much more regulations now these days. Especially after the World War II, when I was born already before the World War, but afterwards, there was more freedom to act, and there were more necessity to act freely, and especially after the wall came down as well in Eastern Germany, there was much more freedom. Now it's much more the same regulation everywhere. So that's.
Digitalization, on the other hand, and new technologies.
I mentioned that already.
Give us a lot of space to do the business freely, on the other hand.
Yes, that's true. Especially if you look at Africa, you can do much more business there because of this digitalization. Otherwise, you couldn't do it. And also in education, you can learn much more, and we as well from Cognos, and I think it's more difficult here. I don't know, but Mrs. Manauer will tell me afterwards. Yes, and the online learning, blended learning, is much more necessary now and possible, and that's another chance for anywhere in the world.
Do you, I think you do, and how do you incorporate digitalization and new technologies, Internet of Things, into your...
We have to have a separate unit to do that, otherwise, it won't work. So we have a separate unit and on online education, and can use some material from the oral learning and look them, but you have to make it online. And so that's another technique, by giving some lectures, whether you do it personally or online. But the interaction is also different.
For new industrial revolution, it's a buzzword today, very popular. There are some opportunities, some fears that new technology will replace a human being as a worker.
I don't believe that.
What do you believe in?
I believe in still finally in human, judgment. So it's a tool, yes, a very important tool, but it's not the basis. The basis will be always humanistic.
Digitalization is a byproduct of globalization. Countries merging together, new technologies merging together, information flowing very fast throughout nations. Is globalization benefiting individual nation economies like the Czech Republic or Germany? Or is it their undoing in some sense, undermining their potential as a country?
Unfortunately, too many people have fears for globalization, but I think it helps the people to reach out to any country and to any business much better than without globalization. So it's more to the benefit of that. But it should be explained to them, and they should keep the roots. They should keep the roots. Otherwise, they don't know what they do.
You're part of a huge holding, many companies, big industrial firm. Globalization kind of make the big bigger, and small tend to make smaller sometimes. Which are the greater assets today for the economy? Small entrepreneurs and small companies, or big multinational corporations such as yours, for example?
I think we need both. We need a good cooperation as well between the big and the small. Otherwise, it's not a contradiction. You cannot. This question is wrong. Sorry, there's no. There is no wrong question. Could be
except for this
only wrong answer. Wrong answers. So, but I definitely believe there is no contradiction between the big and the small.
I rephrase it. Don't big multinationals undermine the potential of small entrepreneurs in today's world?
They would be stupid to do that. And even big companies have their special, yes, small entrepreneurial kind of outsourcing activities. So if they would be stupid to do that.
Another part which is connected to education and business is aging. It's present here. The European population is aging today. What measures could be done today to incorporate? People say it's a problem. It's not a problem. It's a fact. I don't know why people call it a problem. To incorporate aging into our society.
First, I think I am 77. I still like to work. If I can't work, I will die. You know, so it's not a matter of aging is not. Yes, it's a problem. There are much more older people, but you have to increase the age limit before they get pensioned, maybe to 69, something like that. People in some professions can't do it because they are much more under stress and even physically or mentally under stress. Then they should able to return earlier, but basically they have to work longer. Mm-hmm. And it's not yes. As I said, you know, it's not a burden to many people. It's it's an engine to life, to survive.
Do you, in your companies, incorporate this issue of aging? How do you deal with population getting older in Germany within your business?
In my business, of course, yes, we do not have that strict 65. Usually it's 65. You know, that some people like to work and can do, and some have to retire earlier. So flexible response is my advice.
There is another pressure topic, aging, migration. Can migration solve workforce shortages? Central Europe is one of the countries or one of the regions that have the lowest unemployment rates in the history of time. Do you think migration would solve this problem?
Not necessarily. First, you have to speak the language in which you live. That's very important. Otherwise, I don't speak Czech, so I can't work in Czech.
You can. You don't have to speak.
Yes,
you can learn.
Yes, but fortunately, I won't learn that anymore. Yes, unfortunately, I can't do it anymore. And so I think the language issue is very important. If you cannot communicate, you cannot integrate, and that's very important. Second, you have to adjust to your surroundings. If you try to to isolate yourself, it won't work. And the same is in the workforce. You know, you have to adapt to the habits and the procedures in this respective country, and then you will be integrated, otherwise not.
Germany is one of the countries that is pursuing this idea, so you can probably see it there.
We have more than 1 million Flüchtlinge, immigrants, yes. Last year we had, it was not very, yes, it's a political issue. You know, Mrs. Merkel now is being attacked by the AfD to reduce it. Even within their own party, the CSU, as most of the Eastern European countries, are against migration. And the British as well. That's why they voted for the Brexit. One of the reasons why they voted for the Brexit.
So you don't, because when I was talking to German companies, they said, "Oh, we are very happy to welcome refugees because they will be a valuable workforce for us in the future."
They can, as I said.
They can.
They have to adapt to the reasons what I said. So it can help a little, but on the long term it can. Short term not.
Last question before we turn to maybe a discussion part. How do you see the future of your industry? Will it remain the same, big companies doing business, digitalizing, involving technology in it, or you think the future lies within, I don't know, maybe a new form of doing business? Mainly digital, big companies just being getting a bit smaller, falling apart, finding a niche market to operate in. What's your prediction? Next 50 years?
My prediction would be, as it always has been, if you cannot adapt to the changes within the technology or the business itself, you won't survive. So some will, some big or small, they will survive and some not. So no other. It has been the same 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So there's some, maybe this amount of speed has been much quicker these days than before. That's the only difference.
It's going to get faster.
Yes, faster.
Aaron, thanks a lot. I will stop asking my questions. Please, we have some time for open discussion. Feel free to ask some questions, and I would encourage also people on the internet maybe to pose some question if you will too. I think there should be a hostess with a microphone. If you have a question, please wait for her to speak to the microphone. There is a gentleman in the first row.
Well, good afternoon. I want to ask you two questions. One of them is sort of something I was led by your first name. How much do you focus on R&D in your companies? And the other one is more serious. You were talking about your children, and I think there is a number of people here who are really focused on education and children and bringing them up to be fit for the next life. And you were speaking about the first 20 years. At what age did you start with forming the mind of your change in the sense of leading them to the business? I would tend to believe it was an early age, but could you please agree or disagree with that, and how?
I didn't interfere very early. In the first 10 years I didn't do anything. Yes, sometimes when we have been on vacation, I brought my children and visit one plant just to see it, how jam is being produced. That has been the only aspect in the first 10 years. In the second 10 years, they get involved a little more, but still it was a basic education. The real business education starts when they finish the school, and the high school, I mean. And so from 20 on, that until 30, that's a basic influence of getting in kind of business experience. Second question?
So it's how much you focus on R&D?
And R&D, very much. I was the president of the research organization of the German business in Germany. So I very much believe in R&D. You know, even in the food business, you know, I concentrated on the R&D very much, and I still believe in R&D. Yes, I'm not very good in R&D myself. I'm a merchant and not nicht ein Forscher. Yeah, but I believe in it very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Vladimir Kolman, and I am freelance lecturer in Banking Institute, and I am frequently asked by my students about Euro. Czech Republic is, of course, a member of European Union, and from this point of view, we are sooner or later obliged to take over Euro. But Czech government at present time has position wait and see. What is your experience with Euro as a big multinational corporation? Would you prefer that Germany should stay with Deutschmark, or it was correct for you to take over Euro? And what would you advise to Czech Republic? Take Euro or not? Thank you.
Not an easy question. A good question, but not easy to answer. I would think it was not as easy to, like in the former DDR, to take at once the euro. Yes, that was very difficult. So I thought always it's better that the national currencies last until most of the equivalent figures are the same in Europe. Yes, the growth, the educational system, all the other circumstances are much more similar than in Europe. So then is the time to decide, not before. Maybe in Poland earlier than in Czech Republic, my personal judgment.
There was a question on the panel. Okay, here. There's one on screen as well.
We are all complaining about bureaucracy in Europe. Each organization produces bureaucracy, even companies, enterprises. The bigger they are, the more bureaucracy. What to do against bureaucracy in companies?
In companies, it's easier than in governments, yes? In companies, you should not have too much. There should be some basic rules and values, even written down, that's good, very good, but not to make so much regulation in companies, is my advice. Yes, then it is necessary bigger ones than in smaller ones, but it's more, in smaller ones, it's more personal contact. You can talk to someone, and then this is right, this is wrong, and say why. But in bigger companies, it's more difficult, I must admit. But still, I mean, the less bureaucratic a big company is, the more entrepreneurial spirit it has. So it's better to have not too much bureaucracy in companies. I cannot give it more detailed answer. There was another question.
Yeah, thank you. There was a question, gentleman in third row.
Hello, Mr. Oetkera. My name is Jiří Hub from Asseco Solutions. I work in IT business for 20 plus years. I really enjoyed the discussion. My question is, we've spoken a lot about the business, but what are your life values which you honor? What are the values that you would like to teach your children? What is behind the business?
That's a good question as well. Yeah. I'm a very ungeduldig, as I say, impatient person. Yes. So sometimes you need to listen, to learn to listen. And I learned from you as well, from your question, to think about your question. And I don't know the answer so specific as I should know. So I listen and reflect that until I fly back to Berlin this afternoon, not this late afternoon. Fly back. But it is, if you are surrounded also, as I am now, with some relatives who will die soonly because of cancer and whatsoever, heart attack, yes. So and my brother died two months ago. So you really try to, carpe diem. You know what it means? Yes, you have to use the time and don't do something which is not very important. You know, concentrate on really important things, and do not delete those things which are not very necessary. And don't be idle. What is this? Vain. You know, you have to be demütig. Humble. Yes, otherwise yes. Be humble that you see the sun and don't look for the rain. Sometimes the rain is necessary. Yes, but you have to look for something which gets you look forward, not backwards. That's also one advice.
Before we go to the next question, there's a question from the online. I will translate it. Today's topic is road to success. So the question is, what, according to you, the road to success? How did you build your success 50, 40, 30 years ago? And the second part of the question is, how did you manage to build a brand thanks to which Schwartau marmalades is known by everybody?
Maybe the second one is easier. Yeah. You have to be good in marketing, but you have to be in communication. That's very necessary for branding. Yes, to have to find the tone or the right tone to say something. Yes, yeah. We have many slogans, and then you have to make that more and more frequent. Tell them to the public, to the ads. Yeah, if you wake up in the morning, have a first breakfast and have a bread with jam. Yes, it's very necessary. So this kind of, yes, time and again, repetition of experiences, positive experiences. And the second one is much more.
The road to success.
The road to success is.
What's your recipe?
Yes, I did fail. 49% I failed, but 51% I gained. Yes. So again, what I said was like the American approach. If you fail, but if you can't achieve something, drop it. And even weg mit Schaden. Yes. Yes, cut your losses. Otherwise, you will not gain. And the second thing, grasp the chances. Yes, if you are concentrate where you are strong, where you're strong and you have joy to do it, that you will be successful. If you have, it's only a matter of Pflicht. What is it? Duty. That's not necessary. You have to be full of joy to do it. Otherwise, you won't be successful. These are the two answers.
Thank you. Are there any more questions? Please.
Does it work?
Try it. Yeah.
I can understand you.
No, it doesn't.
University of Economics Prague, Zuzana Křičková. I have a question. How do you see the strategic...
Oh, it does. Okay. Because we are streaming, it's kind of.
Does it work? Yes. So,
Yeah, let's try it again.
Zuzana Křičková, University of Economics Prague. I have a question. How do you see the difference in strategic decisions of companies who are owned, in the first case, by one person or family, in one person like Lidl or Kaufland, compared to companies who are like Tesco, for example, being owned by different financial investors, pension funds? How do you see the strategic decisions and aiming difference?
There's a big difference in if someone if you can put him on this tile, and you can grasp him, is responsible and will bear the profit or the losses. It's much easier than in these big companies, in these diversified shareholdings, because the responsibility is not focused to persons, and persons are much more, if they are really responsible and they have the benefits or the losses, they are much more, yes, They just are much more looking to the values, long-term values. So that's what I think, basically.
There is a question from our online viewers. Have you ever wanted to do business in nutrition and food? And when was the breaking point in your career? If you look back 50 years, have you ever wanted to do food and nutrition?
I'm fourth generation. I was, yes, it was expected that I would deal with food. No, yes, the education came later because of I was so much involved in R&D, and education came later. So I inherited the desire almost, yes, to be in the food business.
You've never thought, okay, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do something else?
No.
Travel?
No.
And the second question, what was the breaking point in your career, if you reminisce a bit?
The breaking point was the United States. I made a marketing course at the Harvard University. It lasted only 3 months, but this was decisive for me. And I got really the desire to be an entrepreneur, a Kaufmann, as I said, a merchant, yes, and not a researcher. So I decided to be on the marketing side to do my career. And on the personal management, personal R&D and HR was always my personal responsibility. So this was, but it was created in this marketing course.
So Harvard course was
yes.
the
I still remember wie heißt die Kreide? Chalk. Yes, and the Ted Levitt, a professor, and he had he showed the audience, yes, and this was, yes, the spirit of this, and we get so much work, almost too much, and we had to select our time, yes, and that was also very beneficial for this decision.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
So, Dr. Oetkera, no doubt you're an extremely successful person, but anyway, which were the biggest mistakes both in upbringing your children and in the business you made in your life?
Yeah, the business is easier. In the business, I formerly had some bonbons, sweets in Schwartau. And I couldn't cope with my good friend Uwe Welland Stork, yes. And finally I lost, so I had to sell him just the equipment because I failed, yes. And that's not only and in the IT business I had an investment in Computer 2000, in software, and I didn't understand the subject, so I quitted it. That was so and so. It was not a failure, but yes, I decided to get in the seed business because these were my roots. Yes, and so if you don't understand the business, what you are doing, please give it to someone else. Yeah, so that's easy. But the other question is again, please.
Children, yeah. How did you raise them?
Upbringing. Sometimes my wife says, you should have been involving these children earlier than I did. I would be already at the age of between 10 and 20. I didn't, actually. But that maybe she is right. I don't know. So that's maybe a fault.
I thought you had a question, but you didn't. There's a question from the online. Oh, okay, I'll go first. Online question. You must be a very busy man. How do you relax when you don't work?
I relax in hearing music. I'm very fond of music, So I sit and hear, for example, yesterday evening I listened to Gergiev, a Russian conductor, and he conducted the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra with Shostakovich Symphony No. 4, and I never heard before, by Galina something, another symphony. So that's the way I recover. And also look into nature. Sometimes I just look into nature. Not in these rooms. I wouldn't relax here. I would relax when you stop asking questions. But I like to have this debate. Yes, I like to have this debate. So please ask other questions as long as you want to.
We got some more minutes. Yes, please.
You told us about education, how important it is. You decided to invest in private education. Why did you choose to invest in private, for-profit education?
I was engaged in public and private, as I said. And being the president of the research organization for public education, I wanted to have my own experience in the private world. Otherwise, I cannot compare the two. So I know both worlds, and that's why I wanted to invest in private education.
Another online question. The answer will be obvious whether your kids they're involved in your business and how much, or in your decision making. I will rephrase it. Do you quarrel a lot over the decision making in the business with your children, maybe with your family members?
I wouldn't call it quarrel. I would, say yes or no, or discuss. Fiercely discuss, different opinions. Yes, the different opinions, so the different scenarios, and that's I like, and I don't quarrel with my children.
Okay, thank you. Another question, a gentleman in the third row.
Tomáš Nidecký, Czech National Bank. I have two questions. The first one is personal. Getting older and older, I have more questions than answers. Is it normal or just kind of disease? Or and the second one is you have spoken about regulation. By my opinion, regulation tries to offset financial literacy, financial education. Sometimes, by my opinion, sometimes even common sense. But you have also spoken about languages. About applied education in US. What's the role of financial education or financial literacy in the whole system, by your opinion?
First question, easy to answer. Yes, you are right. Yes. The older I get, experience is not is something okay, but I have more questions than answers. I don't be a wise man in that sense. I learn each day, and I have more questions. I question myself like this very close question, what do I feel really in my heart? I have more questions than answers. The other one is easier. Once again, it's more the American way of life. I mean, I repeatedly said that I don't believe in it's necessary to have regulations, yes, but they don't prevent something. Really, if you even can surmount or wie heißt es? Umgehen. Circumvent these regulations. And so the moral kind of education is much more important than the real regulation itself. The moral education will prevent you from doing something wrong. Otherwise, you will find a way to surround it.
Thank you. We've got time for another one or two questions. So, okay. There is one that popped on the internet, and I'll give you the floor. Can you see difference between the Czech and the German students? Students.
No. We need more students. We hope to get more students. In the Czech and the Slovak Republic, we have 2 subsidiaries, and we hope for more students in the Czech. And maybe this can also help convince those who are present to make a master at the Bank Institute, and maybe those who still have a bachelor to make on the internet, please go to the Bank Institute.
It's a Harvard marketing course. Thank you, and please, you had a question, but can you take a microphone, please?
The last one, and if you don't want to answer it, but having in front of me such an experienced person, a successful entrepreneur, I'm asking myself how seriously one should take money in life decisions and in business decisions, and isn't it taken too seriously these days? Do you understand? Nimmt man das Geld nicht zu ernst heute?
I mean, money is necessary, but it's sometimes more difficult to receive money than to give money. That's my experience. Because of the, this kind of, to receive money is, you have to get the money, you need the money. And sometimes it's not easy to receive money. And to give money, like I have enough, so I give money, it's much easier.
The second part maybe was whether it's overestimated today in today's world.
Yes, it's maybe overestimated.
Overestimated. Okay. Arend, thanks a lot for being part of it today. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. Thank to our partners, WeAve Group, Chess Group, and the Czech Confederation of Industry. The informal part of the event will start now in the second room, so please feel free to take some refreshments and come again. Thanks a lot.